Hello and welcome to the Moinscape podcast. I am Matt Moody, joined by DJ Mitchell, here to go over Thursday's 11-game slate. Let's get on into it.
You're saying they're looking like an idiot.
Well, is that any different than normal?
This is the first time I will admit was unbelievably wrong.
DJ, how goes it on this fine evening?
Fine, I guess. Yeah, Tuesday. Let me read my top stacks from last slate. Where Toronto 1 and Carolina 2, and I somehow didn't play it exactly correct because I didn't really make any money in DFS, and other people that played that won, tens of thousands of dollars. Impressive, really.
It is quite impressive that somehow I was like, all right, let's ban Edmonton and Anaheim. I guess I just didn't put together that the team total was a full goal higher for Toronto. So I put those two aside, and DJ's like, let me sniff on out the Chalkopotamus Toronto Carolina stuff. But hey, just team play the best plays, wins again. There's actually a guy in our Discord won second for 40K. So shout out to Hunter. He does some stuff over at RotoGrinders
with those stacks.
But yes, very well. He played like Nylander and whatever. So
right. So yeah, I played the Toronto 5-man, and I believe my other combined players got a 1 point collectively. My goalie was a negative, 0 from Beauvillier, 2 point something from well, I guess actually Riley was a part of the stack. And then I don't even know. Just an absolute miserable finish. Other than Blake, who got there, obviously. But we don't need to relive last night because you already wrote about it. So check out moods.beehive.com. He did a full slate recap. I think it was really, really insightful. I did read it today during lunch. Very, very good work. Yay. Definitely worth a read. Process over results. Main takeaway, Matt, from your Tuesday night.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if you listen to this podcast, I talked about pretty much everything I was going to do, and it went okay. I mean, I didn't have like the worst night as far as like I didn't feel that bad like early on. And as the games wore on, we get into the third period of the 7:00 games, and I'm sitting right there. But then my leveraged Toronto fade goes absolutely haywire with empty netters galore. Even the Nashville stack I had, like, even though Nashville was scoring, it just didn't get there enough to really matter, because that's why Toronto got those empty netters. But yeah, if you're super interested in a recap of that slate, I did write it up over at moods.beehive.com. Pretty simple. You just go to that address or click the link down in the description or on my Twitter or wherever. And it's the most recent one, the NHL DFS Tilt and Hurl slate review. So yeah, the Spinorama Tilt and Hurl. Get it? Yeah, trying to figure out who steamed Anaheim 2. Don't know. But yeah, it was fun. It's always fun to sort of decompress and write about things, because like honestly, I start writing it normally about like midnight most of the time, and usually like I'm mad, like, oh, this sucks, like everything sucks, I lost, like that's just how it goes, like you're not gonna win all the time. And then by like 2 a.m. by the next morning, I feel like I'm actually learning and like growing from it. So it's a nice way to sort of literally decompress and not want to jump out a window. So let's I will set up the sheet finally for the 11 games that we're going to run through. It being a bit earlier than normal, DJ, you have a beer league game tonight, so we're going to try and keep things quick. I do want to commend us. I believe we've done 3 shows so far this year, and all 3 of them have been shorter than the Stochastic show, which has a very similar format to us, of course. And also shout out to us because DJ, I don't know if you clicked on your Creator Studio recently, but you were officially accepted as a YouTube partner.
Wow. I must be world famous now. That's pretty great. Congratulations to me. The exact same as before. Now, moving forward, it says, wait, someone just said no audio. That's concerning, but I'm gonna assume that's a you problem. But
wait, what?
That's what a comment said.
Yeah, what?
And if anybody can hear us, please comment on the video. If you cannot hear us, I would try to adjust your own situation because I feel like after 5 minutes, someone would have said something, but I'm not sure.
Imagine.
That audio is fine. All right, thank you, Boom. Thank you. We could get into obviously get into the slate. First thing I noticed when I jumped on to DraftKings was there is an actual $20 contest. I know there was like this, hey, like play over what I think like 40 or a contest over $20 and you get a $20 ticket. There's a $20 20K to first on DraftKings if you got a ticket to that, which I'm guessing most people did. So that'll be a fun thing to play if I'm guessing the majority of us have a ticket. And Scott, you're totally fine. Just happy you can hear. Yeah, at least you can hear my beautiful voice, as Pace is pointing out. But we have a lot of games to get to, 11 of them to be exact. Starting off with Colorado and Columbus. Matt, are you ready to get right into things or any other housekeeping?
Yes, we are. Yeah, I just on the note of the partner thing, I did not turn on memberships. You might get ads now. Apologies in advance if you're on YouTube listening to this and you get ads. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. And then there's also super chats. Again, we don't really have much purpose in such a thing, but just putting it out there in case anyone wants to use it. Okay, DJ will sell out. But for me, it's very much please subscribe to my newsletter and whatnot. We're trying to grow this thing and grow the tent before we start capitalizing on our avid fan base. So you got to have a few more people care about hockey. Yeah, that's right. We're pitching tents over here at the Morningsgate podcast.
I will bring us back into the game again. 6.5 total plus 105 on the over, minus 162 for Colorado, leading us to one of the higher team totals on the slate. Not the highest, but one of the higher team totals. I mean, it's just like if you thought that the Slappies were on Toronto, i.e. me, I think they're going to be right back on Colorado here. It's expensive, but it's not unplayable and very, very correlated. I don't know. I mean, there's what else can you say?
The Columbus power or penalty kill has been pretty horrendous too. Now part of that they went up against the buzzsaw that is the Minnesota Wild, who just fixed their power play by bringing in Zeev Buium, who could have guessed. But yeah, even in their other games, it's been quite poor. Colorado's gonna profile quite well. I know Brock Nelson left last game with the hand injury. He got sliced, but he came back, so I'm guessing it's all good there. But just keep an eye on that. Obviously, if he misses, that would open up things for either Victor Olofsson or Ross Colton probably on that top power play in the shooter role. But Landeskog mispractice today, will play. There's really nothing else of note. I mean, Makar's 8K, McKinnon's 9K, even Lehkonen is 6K, and Nachos is basically 7K. Also, is Mackenzie Blackwood back? That's the only other note. I think I saw something about him, but I didn't assume him in.
I didn't assume him in either. What I read, I can't remember even what it is now. I thought it was that like he was not back yet, but like trending in the right direction. It was something like that.
All right.
He was assigned for a conditioning stint, and I don't believe he's returned.
So he will play in the AHL soon, probably.
Yeah, not going to play this one. But yeah, I mean, like the Colorado, the Landeskog thing actually seemed like he really might be out. Like it didn't seem like there was any indication officially yet. Like that one actually seems like something to monitor. Like, are they already going to be putting him on the shelf for games early in the year and trying to maybe spread out? It's going to be something to watch. Does it move up a guy like Olofsson or Colton?
No, Landeskog had the day off and will play tomorrow. We got that news.
Okay. Okay. Well, never mind.
Yeah. And I guess I should say Nelson did practice too, so it's not like we're expecting him to miss. But because the injury was pretty gnarly, a gash. We saw it with Zach Benson, like he was fine, and all of a sudden something flared up in his face, and we had to go to the hospital. So not saying that's going to happen here, but just keep an eye on that because it turns out it sucks when you have probably dozens of stitches in your body because skate blades are very sharp. What I was going to continue with from there is that 6.5 total minus 165 for Colorado. If that sounds familiar to you, That's because Toronto was a minus 175 last night. So basically the exact same situation, except Colorado on the road here, but very similar team total. Probably going to be the highest on the slate. Not to spoil anything, but
it's a donkey smash. I mean, if it gets there, I'm probably dead because I'm
yeah.
probably not playing it. I understand. I mean, it like objectively an amazing play. You get
Yeah.
into DFS, you're trying to win 20K. It's going to be tough to stomach the ownership there.
Yeah. Necas has been really good.
You're...
I'm just gonna say, like, watching Colorado, he's looked much more comfortable with McKinnon than last year. One of my early season questions that I wrote about actually in my season preview was basically covering Necas post trade. Like, he scored at a rate that was like 75% worse than the rate he scored at with Eric Robinson as his line mate. Like, he has Nate McKinnon as his line mate, and he just couldn't score. So I think, does he have one goal and like a bunch of assists? Is that
him that did that?
key?
No,
he has
3 and
3.
5.
He has 3.
So,
okay, so
yeah.
All right, he's scoring, but anyway, he's looked good. He's shooting, so definitely.
Yeah.
If I'm playing McKinnon Makar, I'm trying to find the money to get Necas in. I don't really care about locking in, but Necas I think is a really important piece to that stack on this slate. Columbus got some line changes. We also got the promise of power play changes, but Jackets Insider guy didn't tell us what those changes were, even though he was like, yeah, and the coach said that these power play changes were to spur some offense. So I don't know what the power plays are going to be. I'm guessing we're going to get Johnson, Monahan, Marchenko perfectly correlated. But that is what they ran at 5-on-5 today. So that line is going to run you 16,000 on DraftKings. I really like that. They have a true third line, Olivier Coyle Jenner. So Voronkov, Fantilli, or Jesus Christ, did I not update? Who's missing here for Jenner?
Sillinger?
Yep, Cole Sillinger. Thank you. Good call. That is who it is. Jenner moved down to the third line here.
No problem. That's what I'm here to do.
Thank you. Yes, DJ the puck knower. Second line with Fantilli, Voronkov, Sillinger is 12.8K. Not a great matchup, but that line is interesting. Voronkov especially is a play driver. Fantilli is quite good. He could be a guy that gets elevated to the next power play unit. I don't know. Again, take these. I don't know I didn't change any of the power play units because I just don't know. But we can be certain that Werenski's on it. That's about all I'm certain of at this point.
Keep it out for it in practice. I'm tentatively interested in this Columbus side again, like at home against Colorado. I'm not saying you have to do it, but I don't think this is like a fancy play because of how cheap it is all around. And if you get any other correlation that you like, especially the second line, which has some, pretty prolific players, Voronkov, like if you're sitting there like, oh, Alexei Protas is the best player in the league or whatever, Voronkov plays a similar game and Fantilli has 3-goal upside. I mean, we just know what he can do. So I'm pretty interested all around, but I think no matter what, it starts and ends with Werenski. Like if this Columbus team gets there at all, I think Werenski's going to be pretty low owned, especially with Bakari on the other side, eating up quite a bit of ownership, and there's still a lot to get to. So I am tentatively interested here.
All right, let's get over to Nashville at Montreal. The odds in this game are not posted. Is that? Oh, no, there they are.
Wrong. It's 5.5. Okay, go.
Yep, minus 165 for Montreal. Nashville, they played a back-to-back, so no practice from Wednesday. I don't know what this Brady Martin situation is. They scratched him again in a quote-unquote homecoming game on Tuesday. He's still with the team, but it does seem like he's being prepped to be sent back to juniors, much like Braden Coots was in Vancouver. I don't know that for sure, though. Again, you got to keep an eye out for that on Thursday, since I assume they will have a morning skate. I will just go right back to the well of saying Bunting, Howell, and Marchessault is perfectly fine for 11.2K. I think Howell scored, Bunting did nothing, and Marchessault didn't really do much. But they're playing 17, 18, 19 minutes a night. This second line basically gets torn to shreds because they're using Forsberg, O'Reilly, Stamkos, despite having like a Tyson Jost on the top line to start. So I like the top line. It's 16.6K. But I think I like the third line more just as like a pure, salary saver. I think that's more valuable on this slate than, other mid tier stuff, which there's a lot of it that I like here with the 11 game slate. Any thoughts?
Yeah, it's fine. I have nothing against it. Nashville is just kind of this difficult team to play, but Forsberg at 7K feels interesting to me. Like, I don't even mind the idea of like Forsberg, Marchessault, Bunting. To be honest, like Marchessault goes crazy, and like Forsberg still comes along for the ride. I don't know, but end of the day, I probably don't end up having it. It's not a bad play though. It's cheap.
All right. Roman Yossi, 7,100 feels inexpensive relative to his upside. It's probably you play that with Forsberg, or Stamkos or both, but maybe some interest there if I get really crazy, but probably not doing that. On the Montreal front, Caulfield. I mean, that game was sick with Seattle. The Sportsnet like audio from the OT winner like literally gave me chills. Like, go find that video if you didn't see it or catch it live. Like, I mean, just the audio, like I can't imagine what it would have been like to be in the building. But they do such a good job up in Canada of like actually broadcasting the game and not making it sound like they're recording in like a tin can or whatever. But so that was a really cool effort. I believe he had 2 shots with 2 goals.
Yep. I bet it's over on 2.5. So I know.
Yeah. So, I guess that it is what it is. He is a volume guy, though. I'm not particularly worried about that. And that line is 18.4K. Nashville just gave up a touchdown to the Leafs. Can Montreal recreate that? Probably. I mean, they certainly could. It's weird that it's a 5.5 total. I don't know. Maybe it's just a UC Saros respect factor, but like they're the same odds as Toronto was, and the total's lower. Like, is Montreal better defensively than Toronto? I don't see it. So that's an interesting one. I might go bet an over after this podcast, come to think of it. But yeah. In any case, any thoughts on Montreal, especially now that Zach Balduke is being priced up toward the level of like a Uri Slafkovsky?
I mean, I think it's still top line or bust for me, and like I'm fine including Lane Hutson. He's point dependent, but if you're going 3-man stack, it's like Lane Hutson not maybe coming along for the ride. I like it. I agree with you that the UC Saros factor here might be overstated. He's been really, really good to start the year, but it's not as if Nashville is a juggernaut defensively. There's plenty of young guys that are going to continue to mix in more and more, and they're, not going to provide a ton of value. So I'm in on it. I don't really know like who tries to shut down this top line for Montreal. And honestly, I frankly think it's one of the more underrated top lines in hockey and should be more expensive. So I'm in on it. I just don't know if like I have all the 11 games, if I'm like, oh, this is clearly the spot I have to have. Like it's a good one. Like I like it.
Yeah.
Probably the most of anything we've talked about so far, but that's not saying much with 4 teams so far.
Yeah, let me clarify what we're looking at, because I know last year it was different. I'm still using the second half of last year as my expected and actual fantasy point proxies. I have not updated any of these stats, for example, for this year's stats. I'll probably do that for next week, because as of Tuesday, I think every team will have played at least 5 games. So that's just something to keep an eye out for. I'm not catching like the super small sample size trends. So if you're catching anything like that, just sort of layer that on top of what's being shown here, which is simply reflective of what happened toward the end of last year, what happened last year, and then what their prospect or minor league profile is, and then what their long-term profile is. And of course, this is all for the YouTube folks, because on the podcast feed, you're not seeing any of this. And you should check out DJ's YouTube channel at NHL DJ on YouTube if you want to see the visuals that we're talking about. Let's get over though to Florida and New Jersey. Florida on a back-to-back. DJ, how are we feeling about Mackie Samoskevich top line for the Florida Panthers?
I mean, pretty good. Trends be damned. He's been very good early in the year, and he gets rewarded. It's a weird iteration of the Florida Panthers without, Matty Ice and Barkov, but it's still a good one. There's 3 cohesive lines that are all pretty good in their own right and in different ways. It's tough for me to sit here and disrespect the Devils too much. I think they're all like I've said from the beginning of the year, like they're one of my favorite teams in the league. They'll be without Markstrom. I don't know if that really makes a big difference to me or not. Like he's a maybe a slightly above average goalie. I don't know. But that's not taking me away from the fact that I think the Panthers want to kind of play a boring style of hockey and wear teams down defensively and kind of drive everything off efficiency. Mackie Samoskevich is a guy that can do that. Like I don't mind considering him as a one-off or maybe even with a defenseman. Like all the defensemen are pretty cheap outside of Seth Jones and I guess Ekblad. And some of these guys get pretty big minutes. But on a back-to-back against the Devils, I'm probably just going to bow out and look for other options because I just don't think the Panthers want to get into track meets all that often.
It's a 6.5, and you get Florida at plus 136. So Devils minus 160. That's that's going to be a sizable team total for the Devils, and obviously for Florida, it'll be acceptable. And I think there's enough value here that you can keep an eye on what Samoskevich does today and react quickly to it. Because I think there's a real chance that he takes over a power play one job too. I mean, Aaron Ekblad and Seth Jones are both on the top power play currently. Samoskevich is a right shot. Basically, Reinhardt's the only other right shot in their top. In their top 6, in their top 9, it's Erod, who he's competing against. And Samoskevich was awesome on the left flank last year. So I think there's a real chance we get a line one power play one guy. And I want to jump to that quickly because, again, I don't really respect Ekblad or Seth Jones as the trigger man.
Yeah.
Like one of them can run the point. That's fine. Probably Seth Jones. But Mackie is certainly the most talented guy that they could put there currently. So that'll be a quick reaction that we need to keep an eye on.
The power play, like think back to the Reinhardt, 50 goal season. It was like all of this stuff to try to get to the middle, and it still feels like it's trying to find the guy in the slot. But if that starts to get taken away, you have to find someone on the left side like Mackie that can bury it from anywhere. So I really think that will happen, and when it does, definitely jump on it. I do agree. So we'll keep an eye on it tonight. I mean, they're underway in Detroit, so we don't know yet. All that to be said, I am somewhat interested in this Devils team. It's been very, very good to start the season. Are you ready to move over or anything else? It has gone to the Timo on the top power play. It's worked. Timo, Nico, Hughes, Bratt, Dougie Hamilton. Is it a 5-man stack that you can consider against Florida on a back-to-back, or is it maybe going a little too far down that rabbit hole?
Right 5-man stack.
I don't know.
I guess I'm very interested in this spot. I think the field will be a bit over respecting Florida. What I really liked about the way New Jersey set up this Timo power play one situation is that before, when they did this, they kept trying to jam the square peg into the round hole and putting him net front because Jesper Bratt and Jack Hughes were just such good out boundary players with obviously a defenseman at the point that they didn't want to sort of upend the apple cart in that way. What they were trying to do against Columbus, now I think the goal they scored was kind of a clusterfuck and not really indicative of what actually will transpire, but they were using Meyer as the trigger man on the left side and using Jack Hughes as the setup guy with Jesper Bratt in the middle. That I think is a huge positive sign for Timo, because we know from San Jose how good he is on the perimeter of a power play, especially for fantasy. I mean, he might not be the greatest goal scorer in the world, but God damn it, he will try. So I really like Timo as far as just about everything. I think a one-off Timo makes a lot of sense here because Nico Hischier at the same price is a little bit thin. But I like it as a stack too. And I also like it with Dougie Hamilton. At home, I fully expect Dougie Hamilton to play his substantial 5-on-5 load with Timo and Hischier. So that plus the power play correlation makes me really like, any sort of iteration of those 3 New Jersey Devils here.
I think I all around agree. Dougie's a really, really good play. We know what he can do. He's on the top power play. That should continue. It's wheels up for Dougie. I think, not that he hasn't, smashed it all yet, but that doesn't mean you can't buy in him here in a spot where no one's going to play him, and we know what he has for upside.
Yep, and if you need a super cheap mini stack, Gritsuk and Glass. Gritsuk is 3K. He's spelled with a Y on DK, whatever. 5,800 for these two. playing third line minutes, but that means like 15 for Gritsuk and Glass because this fourth line doesn't get much at all.
No.
So I do,
Yeah.
I think they're okay in a pinch because this Florida third line, the whole reason Mackey's on the top line is because Erod and Boakfist were just getting caved in. And yeah, I don't necessarily expect that to change here.
I mean, the hope is that Florida on a back-to-back is a little bit tired, take some penalties. They get some looks at power play too. Like there's a very easy story to write that they get, more than the 14 minutes they had last game where they were killing penalties. They're not going to kill penalties.
Yeah.
Like,
and
I
the whole reason that shakes up is because Evgeny Dadonov is out for an extended period of time due to injury. So that's everyone slides up as far as that's concerned.
Over to Winnipeg and Philly. I would say a game that feels boring. It just kind of has this, I don't know, this feeling to it that it's boring. But I wonder if anyone is going to go to the Winnipeg Jets. It's 5.5 total. It's a -135 on the road. But like Winnipeg won, in my opinion, feels playable here. Like I don't think that's crazy to say that you could just say I'm not playing Colorado, I'm playing Winnipeg 1. And that could very easily win the slate. Like it's their entire offense kind of all in one cohesive 3-man. Morrissey's kind of too expensive. So don't play him, I guess. Like it's fine. You can play other defensemen that we'll mention. I'm interested. Tell me why I shouldn't be.
I mean, I'm not going to tell you why you shouldn't be. I'm actually trying to look up the Flyers schedule from last year because I feel like I remember the Jets game from last year that they were in town for. So I'm trying my best to not derail the show while finding that.
Derail it.
It's derailed.
Oh God,
I already failed.
The Sabres scored a goal.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
What?
I had a
okay.
Yeah, I didn't register it either.
In Philly, Winnipeg won 4-1, and Scheifele, Connor, Velarde all smashed. Looks like 3 points for all three of them. Yeah, so maybe that's why I'm remembering it. But obviously, one game, whatever. I do feel like Philly is going to be a little bit overlooked as just a different type of team than last year. I mean, I think it's day and night between Tocchet and Torts. I really do. I think that this early season of Florida and Carolina sort of makes people look and go, oh, well, it's the same old. But at the end of the day, I think that they're going to play a much more up-tempo style of hockey. I think having Cam York in the top 4 is going to be very helpful in that respect instead of an Adam Ginning. I think it's actually Yinning is how they were saying it. Like, I mean, having an actual NHLer in there is going to help matters. And I guess on the Winnipeg side first, we have the top line. That's all I'm interested in. Any interest in anyone else here? They're getting cheaper, but I still don't have any interest in Anaya Follow or whatever. So can we move over to Philly?
We may. Yeah, I'm not going to be touting Taves and Anaya Follow. Good idea.
Okay. We now have a perfectly correlated top line in Konechny, Couturier, Michkov. Couturier uber smashed against Florida. I think he had a 4-point night, 2 goals. That line is going to run you 15.4K. Look, people are going to tout the Michkov minutes, but at the end of the day, like, if he's playing well, he's going to play more. He's not been playing well. And part of that, like in the first game, was they just had, I think, 5 PKs and 2 power plays. I think the second game, the coach was like, yeah, he wasn't playing well, so I didn't play him in overtime. Like, okay, happens. And then this game, he wasn't great, but guess what? His center scored 4 points. So how bad could he have been? I don't know. I guess I want to make sure ownership stays in check because I feel like they might project well, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I'm going to need to run some optos with 15K lines, kind of with the focus, because Konechny's really good and he's 5,600. And, I talk shit about him sometimes, but like for that price, he's a very good play.
Yeah, it's an interesting line. I mean, again, it's kind of feels like the Columbus situation a little bit if it's all correlated and it's sort of like, I mean, any team at home, nothing that really gives them a boost in like theory, but like I think against Winnipeg it does because the bottom of this lineup in Winnipeg is so putrid. Like that, this line is clearly going to get used in as much offensive, like face-offs as possible because this is where the offense is coming from. So I do think that matters here. And yeah, there's nothing negative to say other than the fact that like they're probably still playing a team that's better than them, but that's why they play the game. Like teams can win at any night. So it's not like I said, it's a plus 135 or minus 135 for Winnipeg. It's not even that crazy. So like the fact that probably no one's going to play it, everyone's going to look at Michkov's recent run, which I believe he had like a small injury going into the year. I have absolutely no problem with it at all.
And if you're not on the bandwagon because of the matchup, I get it. Philly also plays Minnesota on Thursday. They play Seattle on Saturday. So just get ready. Get ready to get back on the wagon before the train leaves the station. Let's go to Seattle, taking on a back-to-back Ottawa team who will be traveling in from Buffalo while Seattle, I guess, sits and waits, or maybe Seattle spent the night in Montreal. Who knows? But the top line in Seattle remains right in that mid-tier range, 14K for McCann, Beniers, Eberle, who actually did the damage for them last game. Anything you want to say about Seattle here?
Yeah, I mean, they've just been efficient. I mean, there's really not another way to kind of say it. Like they've just found ways to, be efficient in the offensive zone. There's not a ton of volume coming from anyone in particular. It's just this, I guess, very average team that people think is well below average. And I just think that they're an average team and like they're going to find ways to win games. I don't know if I'm finding enough upside to play it even at this price, but Ottawa on the back-to-back, I think you could convince me to play pieces here. Beniers at 4,100. Like if you're a Beniers believer, he's playing enough minutes and he's cheap enough and only gotten cheaper and really, point per game right now. Like you should buy now, this is a spot to buy. So
yeah,
I'm not sure if I'm in that camp, but I get it.
Yep. The main issue, of course, is that Chandler Stevenson is just taking all the air out of the football for this team. He played 21 minutes again last game. McCann only played 16 minutes, but he had a goal and assist and 3 shots. So yeah, you're gonna have to fight the minutes. Beniers getting 18, 19 is better, but obviously it'd be better if you were playing more because he's a better player than Chandler Stevenson, or I mean, literally random guy out of the stands. I think would be a better fit than Stevenson at this point for this hockey team. But it is what it is. They are all power play correlated, so it's fine. Definitely keep an eye on how the underlines look against the Sabres. We don't have a huge sample of Ottawa without Brady Tkachuk, but especially with like Drake Batherson just getting his legs under him after missing most of camp and the start of the season. They're a pretty banged up group right now. So, and gonna want to keep an eye on that. Did they play Olmark? Yeah, no, they're saving Olmark for this game. So I don't know. Interesting. Okay. Shane Wright only played 13 minutes. Yeah, literally. That's where we're at in at this juncture.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah, Shane Wright played 13 minutes. Very funny. Just classic stuff out of our friend in Seattle. Ottawa, here's how they are reacting to no Brady currently. I'm very interested to see how the Amadio, Stützle, Zetterlund line fares. Does Stützle just double shift, with a bunch of guys? Does he, play the second and third line, just basically out there every other shift? I don't know. Remains to find out what's going on there. But Cousins and Batherson are back. Cousins and Batherson are quite cheap. Combined 9,200. You add in Perron 12.6K. DJ, what are your thoughts on Drake Batherson as he returns from injury?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. It's like, you want to see him, get his legs under him. But if you wait and his legs are under him quickly, he is not going to be 4,800 for long. So they actually just went on the power play right as we're speaking. So I was hoping to maybe see an update on the power play, but they both should be on it. Shocked if they weren't. They're very, very cheap. I don't think David Perron's bad. And I really think Jake Sanderson is very, very good and shooting quite a bit. So I'm pretty in on it. It's a very, almost you want to say, Sanderson brings it up a good notch, but like, dare I say, almost below mid tier, like in expense, especially if you just play the whole second line against a Seattle team that all of a sudden we respect for whatever reason. Like they're going to see Chandler Stevenson for heaven's sakes. Like I'm fine with it. Like I have absolutely no problem with playing Ottawa. I don't really care that they're on a back to back. I'm fine with it. I will also give a shout to a pod favorite, Spence. Jordan Spence has been like shooting a ton, just not really getting enough minutes to make me incredibly excited. But in a game that he needs to play more because they're trailing or something, like he will play more and he will shoot. I'm not saying that's like a piece you got to include, but I am, kind of just keeping an eye on it. Like, seems like he could be a factor.
A viable punt, I think you would say.
Yeah, a viable
that's
punt, I would say. Indubitably.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Are you going to Ottawa?
Ridley Gregg on the power play is interesting. I mean, basically they're replacing Kachuk with Gregg. The shots have to go somewhere. I suspect they will funnel through Sanderson, Batherson, and Cousins actually outshot Batherson when they were together last year. This is relatively, actually no, this is updated to the full season now. I forgot. I did a whole write up though in the summertime about the stint with Cousins and Batherson, and found that they were pretty similar players throughout that time together. So I really like this 3-man stack. You mentioned Sanderson. It's 15.1K altogether. And yeah, I'm definitely going to keep them in that clump of mid-tier stacks that we've just sort of been adding to throughout this show. The Rangers at Toronto. Well, I have good news for the Rangers fans. They are on the road, so they might score in this game. Any thoughts on the Rangers?
I mean, it's just like I would say that they played Edmonton and they lost, and you can say, well, score effects and the fact that they were trailing basically the entire game, but 4.4 expected goals to 1.9 against Edmonton is like of note. I mean, Panarin had, I think, 12 shot attempts. Zibanejad had like 6 or 7, and Lafreniere had another 5 or 6. Like this top line is really fine, all things considered, and I'm not going to get any respect. I get that I'm probably the first and the person and the last person that's really going to go to bat saying that Toronto is good defensively, but I mean, no one's going to click the Rangers here. I don't think. I would be, pretty surprised. It is a 6.5 total, but of course they're underdogs. I think that this is like truly one of the better like plays on the slate, and maybe if it was a better matchup, it would be just my Giga Jam, but I'm going to be a little bit weary of sacking heavily against Toronto. And I think the biggest factor is just like, it feels like if they don't score quickly and they continue to struggle, like it's getting blown up. Like there's no way they can continue to run this out there. I get giving it another go. Like I said, they played well. This top line produced a lot of offense. Like give another chance, fine. But that might last a period and a half before it's gone.
Yeah, we're keeping an eye on the status of Will Borgen. If he misses, he's currently a game time decision. Scott Morrow draws in. Schneider practiced with the PP2, but if Scott Morrow plays, I think they could afford to lose Matt Rempe or creative player Noah Leba or even Connor Sherry off their power play to bring in an actual talent in Scott Morrow. So that would be an interesting guy. Obviously, with a lot of minutes to fill there too. Schneider is a good play. Just all things considered. Yeah, I really want to be there on the Rangers, but watching Zibanejad play is just sad. He literally looks like he doesn't know how to score goals. I don't know what happened to the accuracy, but like I don't think he knows where the puck's going, or he's just so dead set on hitting the net that like he's just putting it straight into the goalie's face every time. It is beyond me that the chances that he is not finishing at this point. Yeah. So it's tough. Yeah. Tough scenes.
It is what it is. I get it. We can move over to the slate winners from Tuesday.
Yeah, speaking of tough scenes, Matthews and Nylander, I think both got the 3-point bonus on empty net goals. Matthews also got the 5-shot bonus on the empty netter. So yeah, that one sank my battleship real quick, not having those guys. So you going back to the well here against the Rangers?
No, I think I'm sort of pointing it out that went into the season as well saying the Rangers are a lot better defensively than people are giving them credit for. And it's also a bit goalie driven, of course. Like, you can't just like Igor Shesterkin in my mind is the best goalie in the world. So I'm not going to say he doesn't factor in at all, but 1.9 goals against an Edmonton team that was only ever up 1-0 until the empty netter late. I respect this team quite a bit. The prices have come up. Look at what they did last game. Is Easton Cowan the answer? I just feel like this is getting a bit fancy play-ish. It's a high total. It's almost the same, really. Like, it's a high total with Toronto as a pretty big favorite, like a Rangers team that I feel like people are all ready to, put the body bag on. I'm not saying it's going to be nearly as high as it was against Nashville, but like I do think people are going to click on it. So I think I'm not going to, but I'm not saying you're wrong. I just, again, I think it's more driven by the fact that Rangers are good defensively than it is that Toronto's bad.
Yeah, Morgan Riley struck on Tuesday. I mean, he's not a high floor guy, so when he doesn't get involved in the offense, he's not likely to put up big fantasy scores. So for
Oh, I
5,400,
saw.
that is an interesting social experiment. Like, do the Optos win out again, or are people gonna exclude him from their Toronto stuff? But clearly, he's the guy with upside, and you should at least consider stacking him with your Toronto stuff. But yeah, we just saw a masterclass in how to just giga jam Toronto and win. So anyone can just look at last slate to see what they should be doing if playing Toronto. Let's head on over into Edmonton against the Islanders. Edmonton putting everything in the blender while winning yesterday. I guess I guess they were not happy about only scoring one goal against the Rangers. So mid-game, they actually broke up McDry despite, not losing. And they rolled with Mangiapane, McDavid, Tomasek, Draisaitl, RNH, Roslovic in practice today. So that seems like it's holding. The McDry era is over, done almost before it began. How do you feel about the Oilers here heading into Long Island?
I mean, I feel like you're kind of, making a joke there, but I think as fast as it was broken up, it could be put back together. Like, I just don't know if I'm entirely ready to say that, McDry couldn't win a DFS slate just because they're not initially at 5-on-5. They're going to see a ton of run. I don't really respect this team in Long Island all that much. I know they're off to a, I guess, like, good feeling start, even though the team hasn't won a lot of games. But just because Matthew Schaefer is producing offensively doesn't mean he's going to, make up for how bad this team is defensively, in my opinion. So I think I actually like favorite play on the slate right now is just playing McDry with one other piece. There's the obvious Bouchard option, of course, another guy that has not been off to a good start. The shots have been there, 2 blocks bonuses. No points. I mean, that's not quite enough, but the floor is clearly very, very high, and the ceiling could only be higher. Nugent Hopkins is going to factor in with at least Draisaitl, if not McDavid as well. And of course, Tomasek has actually been good and like probably should continue to be played. And I just think that like at 5-on-5, like McDavid and Draisaitl play together still quite a bit, even though that's not what the lineup looked like, even though that's not what we saw in practice today. Like, Dallas does the same bullshit. I think they're going to see, at least 15 minutes at 5-on-5, maybe it'll be a little high, 13 to 14 minutes at 5-on-5 in that range, and power play 1. That's enough to win a slate, especially if it's clicking against a bad Islanders team.
Very bold of you to assume Edmonton gets a power play opportunity in this game. I know better.
That is a good point.
They got zero
Pepperidge
opportunities. Yeah, they got 0 opportunities against the Rangers. Not that I'm salty about it or anything, and not that I had, thousands of dollars on the line. It's fine. It's all good.
Good. You're not salty about it.
I mean, that would really be a shame if I were. There's obviously nothing in the bottom 6 worth discussing. Roslovic is interesting, 2,800. I could see myself playing Draisaitl, Roslovic, just those two. Because Roslo's a good player. I mean, I think he's a better player than SHL career specialist Tomasek, Andrew Mangiapane. I think Roslo is certainly in the running to be like their, the 6th man, if you will, when you count the 4 power play guys and Bouchard. Actually, he might even be the fifth man because again, I'm not afraid of Tomasek. I liked him fine. I haven't seen anything special about him. He doesn't look like he's, like Zach Hyman's not a special player, but he's so good, like up in, he has such good awareness that like he can play with whoever. I haven't really seen that from Tomasek yet. I guess we'll get a really good chance now at 5-on-5 with McDavid to see how that creates chemistry. But I don't have a problem like that Roslovic is going to, get benched for Kapanen or whatever, move down the lineup, let's say. So I like that look. I don't know what the power plays are going to be. So Roslovic may not even be on the power play. We didn't see it in his only game, but I'm currently
Are you
guessing.
salty about that?
No, not at all. Speaking of things I am not salty about, the Islanders ran a practice today, and Tony DeAngelo was manning the top power play. Each of the past 2 games, Tony D has gone out there and they've sucked, and then they've gone, all right, Schaefer, you run the top power play, and they've been electric. I cannot overstate how good Matthew Schaefer looks in his first 3 games in the NHL. Yes, they are winless, but my God, if he is even half as good as he's looked in these games as an 18-year-old, the Islanders will have no problems going forward. And yes, the Sabres with Rasmus Dahlin are a great example of how you can still have problems going forward. But man, he's looked really good. So any thoughts on the Islanders here?
Not a ton. I mean, I still think this Oilers team is very good. And like I said, they didn't play their best game against the Rangers. They didn't, power plays, blah, 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 blah. But this Islanders team, I think the reason I like this game in general and I like the Oilers so much is kind of what you're not even saying out loud, but like Schaefer's pushing the pace. Like this team is pushing the pace. They're putting their best players out there, like Horvat, Barzal, Drouin. They're seeing a ton of runs. Like they're not playing it this boring Islanders brand of hockey as much as people I think are going to be, assuming. And like I could consider bringing something back in this game, but Schaefer's sort of been the catalyst and he's getting pretty expensive. 5,200 is probably okay. Maybe if you squint, I think I'd just rather just play the Edmonton side and move on, but I could be convinced to take a peek here. Is there anyone else that you'd pair with Schaefer that you feel really good about?
Shabanov is 2,600. The main issue with this, I think, with this game is just that the prices are a little high. Like obviously Schaefer 5,200, like whatever. We talked about how he's playing 25 minutes and whatnot. Like that's fine if he does that again. But like if for some reason Tony D is actually competent on the point and Schaefer's not getting all that power play run, his outlook looks a lot different. The matchup is tough. I don't love when Edmonton goes McDavid and Draisaitl separately because guess what? Draisaitl took significant strides defensively last year. We know Bouchard, Ekholm with McDavid are going to be excellent defensively. So it's not like there's a huge window of opportunity to pick on the Oilers like there maybe have been in years past outside of just betting against goaltending. And as we always say on this podcast, goaltending does not matter because who knows which goalie's going to blow up on a given night. Like, yes, over the course of a season, Stu Skinner is going to have 10 blow up nights, but are those odds good enough to like jam in the Islanders on an 11-game slate? I don't think so. Kyle Palmieri is the guy that I will be keeping an eye on. Barzal is very much pass first so far this year, based on my eye test and some of the stats underlying that in 3 games. But 5,900 is just too much for Palmieri. So really like a shot prop thing or smaller slate type, I guess, mindset there. And then Heineman, I guess, 2,900. But the minutes have been, let me just double check that. But I believe the minutes have been a concern. Yeah, 13, 16, 12 for Heineman. So not like a must play type of role there.
No.
All right.
Not at all.
Vancouver. I guess we haven't had Vancouver on the show. Good God. Is any of this updated? I actually forgot they existed. So
I have no freaking idea, honestly.
Why don't you talk about Dallas and I will look into Vancouver just to see if we have any information.
Yeah, Dallas does this hilarious thing with their new coach where they're like, hey, everybody, look at our lineup. This is our lineup. This is going to be it. And then every single slate, Jason Robertson's up there with Hintz and Rantanen. And it's just really funny. I laugh about it. I do think that if you played that Hintz, Rantanen, J-Rob line, like you deserved all of the money on the DFS slate. and didn't get rewarded because you got buried by Toronto. And I'm not a big fan of what Vancouver has defensively. So I'm very, very willing to go back to the well here. But it's Hintz, Rantanen, and Jason Robertson. Wyatt Johnston can, be the fifth guy in if you want to go that far. I think I could, obviously you can be convinced to play a defenseman. Of course, you could leave Wyatt out of the mix if you want because you're not going through the power play. It is Miro on the top power play, but my love for Thomas Harley. I think it's one of the better plays on the slate, Rantanen, Hintz, Robertson. I just struggle to see myself having it over a bunch of the other things I really like, but it does make sense because, like I said, Vancouver's not a great team.
Yeah, Duchesne got rocked toward the end of the Minnesota game. It seems like he'll be okay, but he's like day to day, so he might not play in this one and be back soon after. So keep an eye on that. Not having Duchesne would condense the offense even more to, Hintz, Rantanen, Robertson, Wyatt Johnston. So we like that. I second everything you just said. I was in on Dallas lastly. I'm certainly in on them again here. This Mikko Rantanen price is egregious. 7,200 for Mikko Rantanen is, I think, 1,000 too cheap. He's been all world in the early going for Dallas. He's shooting a bunch. He's getting a ton of run. Like any of the concerns about like the DeBoer style carrying over, not the case. Dallas is just heaping it on their star players. No pun intended. And yeah, Miro and Harley are very good options as well. I lightly prefer Harley, but both have been pretty solid. All right, for Vancouver, we actually do have a loaded up second line now, which is nice. Evander Kane with Hedl and Garland, with Coots gone. Actually, Coots got sent back after practice, so I guess I don't know who's going to be there, but maybe Linus Karlsson and Drew O'Connor. So sure, that's fine. The top six being good is interesting. These prices, though, I think have me not very interested. 15.7K for that second line and 18K for the top line. Just I don't think you can do that in this matchup. So any
your
complaints?
Yeah. Though the biggest problem is like you're playing that top line and you're not playing Quinn Hughes. No, you're playing Quinn Hughes and he is 73. It's just like, what are we doing here? The other side's so much better. I mean, I know it's a little more expensive, but it's honestly just a little more expensive to play a 4-man Dallas stack. That's just a way, way better play. You're giving up way too much projection here. And frankly, not a lot of ownership, I think, coming in on this Dallas side. So like what you're winning nothing. Unless if you are somehow massively right for no reason.
Minus
it's
200
for nothing.
Agree. Minus 200 favorites for Dallas here. The third largest favorite of the night. All right. Carolina heads into Anaheim. Minus 175 for Carolina, a 6.5 total. I mean, this is the true test of the Anaheim Ducks after leading off the year with Seattle, San Jose, Pittsburgh, and some guys at least crushing it. They now get a true test in the Carolina Hurricanes. What are your thoughts on the Carolina side first and foremost?
Yeah. I mean,
while you do that, I'm actually going to swap out. This is what we saw last game. Mid-game, they switched Svechnikov and Taylor Hall.
Went up. Yeah, I mean, geez, do these Svechnikov bags, could they possibly get any worse for anybody that has Svechnikov bags?
Eric Robinson literally was the Marty Nachos lightning fuel. So,
is the only way for him to come back. There's two sides of this, right? There's the one side of the Ducks are actually not that good defensively, and it's it's all because of the matchups and the other thing, and the Slappies, the Donkeys, whatever you want to call them, in full force on this Duck squad as they've beaten up and not even won all these games, but very well versus bad teams, and now they get the ultimate test. But I really do wonder if that factors in at all on this ownership for Carolina. One, they're expensive. They're too expensive to obviously play with other much chalkier stuff. I mean, we mentioned Colorado should be pretty owned, and we've mentioned some other spots that feel pretty chalky. Like, do people fear the Ducks enough and stay away? think that has me at least tentatively interested, especially because how good the second line's been. That people might just think like, oh man, like they're going to continue to eat their lunch. The top line's not going to have to play that many minutes. They're going to get up, a few goals, and then who cares? Like Jackson Blake is the answer here. Just might not be the case. It might be the case that Aho, Ehlers, and Jarvis are kind of unmatched by this Anaheim team that has gotten better, but probably isn't quite good enough. So I think I'm down, but I think I'm only going Carolina 1 here.
Yeah, I mean that's I think a sharp way to go. The Blake Stankoven connection from last game was the most it wasn't even AHL. It was literally beer league hockey, beer ending from Nedeljkovic, which should be expected from Nedeljkovic, I think, at this point in time.
Yeah.
But like Blake took a one-timer from literally the blue line unscreened, and Nedeljkovic just fell over because he didn't see the pass. Like it's just unforgivable stuff. Like so the fact that they got there was a little annoying. Ultimately didn't really matter because that was dead anyway. But the top line didn't do shit. They're 20.4K. I keep it like I'm never gonna want to lose. I'm never gonna want to like win on Carolina forwards producing just because we know the way Carolina is going. But if they're gonna be low owned, then like yeah, they could certainly separate here. Gostisbehere played a pretty significant role, I imagine, in a more competitive game. Riley Chatfield doesn't get 18 minutes like they did last night. Like I think they would pile more of that work onto the top two pairs. And Gostisbehere's price is still very much in play with no Slavin expected again. I don't think the prices have quite increased to a level that we should be, avoiding them. And so, yeah, for me, it's prioritize Carolina defensemen over the forwards, but the forwards are perfectly fine.
Yep.
On the Anaheim side, I think we're, let me unhide the top line because I was taking a screenshot. We're truly at a situation where this Cutter, McTavish, Seneca is their top line. Now Seneca has a fair price finally, but 15.9K. I mean, these guys are getting 19 minutes a night. They were out to kill the empty netter when the other power play got the goal. Like, I think they're still splitting power plays. I think it was just a very weird coincidence that PP1 got like 80% of the work last game. I wrote about that in my slate recap. Leo Carlsson played 15 minutes. Alex Killorn played 10 minutes. Like it feels like this is the Anaheim 2 team now. So yeah, Chris Kreider got there. He had the goals. Leo had a blocks bonus and 2 assists. I still think they're sort of playing third line minutes, and that's a bit more sticky than the power play stuff from yesterday. So I'm not personally advocating for Anaheim here. 15.9K is a bit much for me, but I will be seeing if there's a significant decrease in like the shot prop markets and whatnot, because I don't really think that matters much with Carolina here.
I completely agree. I mean, no Slavin, it's a factor. Like this defense, and you're like, oh man, like how could they play too much Riley Chatfield when you have freaking Nikishin and Gostisbehere, notoriously great NHL defensemen? I think there's at least a thought, but that thought kind of gets put to the side by the fact there's 11 games on this slate, and it's an incredibly difficult matchup, and it's just unnecessary. But like, go to the props, right? There's a prop here that's probably going to be pretty sneaky and pretty good value. And we can move to the final 2 games with another team that I'm really excited to talk about. And one team here that we start with in Pittsburgh that at the very least has a top NHL line that's too cheap. The matchup isn't horrendous against LA. Like the Kings haven't been juggernauts defensively. I wonder if maybe they got worse defensively in the offseason. Who's to say? Kopitar could potentially be out. I don't know if that really matters that much at this point, but are you clicking, the top line here in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, no, the problem is that it's the depth in LA that's really taking a beating. They tried to split that up by moving Mikey Anderson and Drew Doughty, splitting them for the Dumoulin CC pair. But like ultimately we're still dealing with a Phil Deneau matchup line. Like they're going to be in control of the matchups. You're not going to get Dumoulin CC out against Crosby. Like that's just not going to happen here. So I think that might be a little overstated if that's like part of the chatter. And if Pittsburgh had viable depth, I would certainly be like, yeah, like let's take a shot at it. But I don't think you need to. Even the Pittsburgh second line, they're still probably getting, Byfield, Fiala, like the Clark Edmondson pair, and they're 12K. So like it's not like I talked about 11K, 12K lines I like, and this is not one of them. So yeah, I have no interest here personally. Do
Sure.
you want to just talk LA?
Yeah, let's
Okay.
just talk LA. I mean, I just wanted to mention it. That's the case
Yeah.
for Pittsburgh. I think the case against them is stronger, and I agree. The case for LA though is very strong. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
think you could really go wrong here. So yeah, you seem ready to go. So let go run.
Kemper is a game time decision to the point where they actually reacquired Phoenix Copley, who they let go via waivers preseason. So it seems like Kemper's going to miss time. I'm guessing Copley's not even on the slate or whatever, but minimum price goalie possibly.
Yeah, I think they said Forsberg's going to start.
Okay, Forsberg anyway. But yeah,
Yeah.
backup goalie, and also Kopitar being out, which we don't know. He's also a game time decision, day to day type deal. But that would also throw things into a bit of flux. We know that, actually, Byfield, Fiala, Armia was the line most recently. I would not be surprised if Kempe slid over to center and Laferriere kind of moved up to that line with Kuzmenko. But ultimately, it opens up a power play job. I don't want to say Drew Doughty's in play, but like Drew Doughty would be in play on the top power play for 4,300.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to pretend Jim Hiller would use Brandt Clark on the top power play. But
Come on, pretend.
dream.
He did get. He did see it though. I think they had a. I mean, Kopitar was not on it at one point, and Clark was. I don't know what that was about. Maybe it was the end of the power play. I don't know, or maybe I watched the end of that game. Was it just before overtime? They had a power play, right? They scored on the power play to force overtime. Am I losing my mind? Maybe it was a 5-man after. Maybe it was a 6.
It was
that.
Yeah, I'm not seeing Brandt Clark on top power play. So
what if we like squint harder and look closer?
I don't think so, buddy. I don't think we're getting there.
Was it overtime? I know.
No.
Let's stop this before we hurt anybody.
Brandt Clark plays in overtime, but he was not on the OT power play. So
the moral of the story is if Brandt Clark's power play won, I'm clicking it out of allegiance to the flag. And if he's not on power play one, then
he's still an option, I would say.
Still an option, yeah. I mean,
All right.
Fiala's been on another planet. Like we want to talk about guys that are underpriced. Like I think Fiala is very, very underpriced. Byfield's been good, but of course he is very dependent on scoring still, which is a skill he has, which I've talked about. But definitely needs. I think that's like playing a solo Byfield at 4,900 because like Kopitar's out or something is very wrong. Like you got to put in Fiala at least.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me.
Pittsburgh is bad. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Boston and Vegas, final game. Top line for Boston. Sure.
Yep.
Everything else, no. Hampus Lindholm, possibility. I lean toward unlikely though. So just keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, playing Boston feels like a bad idea, but you know what? If no one's playing Pastrnak, you're allowed to play Pastrnak.
Cool.
Probably one of the better swaps if you are dead and going into the 10 o'clock slate. Okay.
Makes sense to me. Time for a quick victory lap. The Eichel, Stone, Barbashev line did come to pass. The Optos had it wrong. Turns out it didn't matter because Austin Matthews scored 1 billion points too. But Jack Eichel putting up 32 might have been useful. If Mark Stone had got the empty netter instead of Hurdle, like all of a sudden you're talking, oh my God, Moods, you're the best. Thank you so much for all this money I won.
Nope,
Instead, it's Moods.
No one would have said it.
How did you not play Toronto, you fish? And I'm like, I don't know. Just happens. But yeah, Marner, Hurdle, Dorofeyev, perfectly power play correlated now, second line. I still prefer Eichel Stone. Just the Jack ceiling is massive. And I think Stone also has a ceiling that he hasn't really shown yet. But if he scores, like by God, you're talking 3 points, for 5K. His ceiling, I think, is quite high for that salary. But do you have a preference between line 1 and 2 here?
Where's Jack Eichel from?
Boston, perhaps.
Yeah, I don't know. Seems obvious to me who to play. But in reality, I don't think you could really go wrong either way, or even playing Eichel with pieces of the top power play, because I do think it comes through them. Boston's weak defensively, and Ben Hutton is still a punt option as well, as
Yep.
long as Hannafin doesn't return.
And speaking of punts, Riley Smith, Carlson, Sod are actually getting cheaper. Now 9,300 for the 3-man stack. It's not great, but it's certainly better than
Yeah.
any other 9K stack you're getting.
That feels like an option against, or like, to play that full stack with like Colorado, because I don't think it's going
Yeah.
to be very popular, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's fair
I've been
and a
wrong
good point.
before. Could be the first time.
All right, let's do top stacks, guarantee goals, and get on out of here. Do you have something in
A lot
mind?
of top stacks, man. There's
Oh,
so many
boy.
stacks I love on this slate. It does get quite dicey. I think what I'm leaning towards right now, I have two. Why don't you go first? You go first, because
All right.
let's see if you take either of mine.
I'm gonna go Nico Heischer, Timo Meyer, and Dougie Hamilton taking on the back-to-back Panthers. I talked about Timo's shot volume and whatnot. I think that's a really good spot for him, and I want to be early to the Power Play 1 Timo experience, which will actually be different this time.
All right. I think my tentative plan right now is to play just Bouchard, McDavid, and Leon Draisaitl. Where does he get his ideas? And then play Ottawa 2. I think that would work without Sanderson, which does make me feel a little bit whatever. I'm including Perron in that. I believe that would be an option. That is the lineup kind of core I'm working on right now.
Okay.
I don't know. Throw in Mers Lincolns, and you got 3,400 for D and utility.
I guess that is technically a stack. So let's. I'm gonna go with Dallas, Rantanen, Harley, and depending on let's just say Rupe Hintz. But depending on the Duchesne news, I also think Wyatt could be interesting. Just as like again, you're just taking from the bin of Dallas, and they're all going to correlate at some point. So I really like Dallas stacks here against Vancouver. Hopefully, the Rantanen price goes overlooked by the field.
I dig it. I'm not offended by the notion. So wait, hold on. Let me write down you as. Could you play yours together?
I assume so.
Okay. So wait, it was New Jersey 2, Dallas 1, Edmonton 1. Yeah, well, Edmonton nonsense, Ottawa 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I see. So you took both at the same time.
Yeah, I just took both at the same time. Like I said, I was gonna see if you took either of mine, because I thought maybe you take Ottawa 2, but then I was like, I don't think he's taking Ottawa 2. He's taking New Jersey 2. That's fair and valid. We can do the goals. We can go home. So
okay.
I am trying to figure it out. Who do I want for guaranteed goals?
I am ready. I want the small goals boy, Cole Caulfield, 6,500. Lock him in for a goal.
Where does he get? Man, who took him last slate? Who's to say? Oh yeah, he's one of mine. Perfect. Good copying skills. How much? Sorry, I'm clicking the wrong button right now. How much? Boy, I really wanted to say Kyle Connor, but that seems like it's going to be unbelievably difficult to make work. You know what? Give me Kevin Fiala. Give me Kevin.
Okay. Great work. Taking someone at nearly the same price as me. So for my second, I'm going to go Sean Couturier, new Power Play 1 guy, Sean Couturier. Michkov is going to be a good player in this league for a very long time. Don't you forget it. So yeah, Sean Couturier, first game on the Power Play, underpriced. Couturier, Caulfield, guaranteed goals.
Couturier, Caulfield, guaranteed goals. Those are two guys that play in the league. I have Adamo Fantilli to go along with Fiala.
Okay, that is a good price for Fantilli. I DM'd or I messaged, Jesus Christ, I tweeted back at the guy who said the power play thing, and I will let the Discord know if we get any news about that. But yeah, keep an eye out for those new power play lines. All right, that'll do it for us. Thank you to everyone who listened. Thank you to everyone who checked out my newsletter, moods.beehive.com. Recapped the Tuesday slate, the Spinorama winners and whatnot. On Friday, I will have I think it's a 4-game slate, so I'll have the DFS slate breakdown over on the newsletter. So please subscribe, moods.beehive.com. DJ, anything you want to say before we head out of here?
No, not really. Just thanks for joining along. Might have something more this weekend. We'll see, but be around. So at least probably something of value, or be in the Discord or whatnot. I mean, the Discord is a lot of fun. I'm trying to mix it up in there more, but really, really good group. Always making jokes, and there's like inside jokes that I miss out on that I have to go back and try to figure out and read, and people are having fun.
Cool. Yes, and DM
And
one
there's
of
no
us if you
porn
want
bots
to
right
in the
now.
Discord. All right. That'll do it from us. Thank you all for listening. From Doug, from DJ, from myself, have a good slate, everybody, and we will see ya.
You're saying they're looking like an idiot.
Well, is that any different than normal?
This is the first time I will admit was unbelievably wrong.